forget to head over to northcoders.com, but not before you watch the final group of this session, Peaky Climbers, and Jack is going to kick us off.
Thanks, Anne. Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in. We are the Peaky Climbers. My name is Jack, and shortly you'll be hearing from my teammates, Moogie, James, and Simon. Today we'd like to present the application that we have created, Climbly. It's an app for keeping track of hills and mountains that you have climbed. Next slide, please. So why this? Hill walking and hiking are incredibly popular. A recent survey found that nearly a quarter of Britons are ramblers, and with over 4,000 hills and mountains in the UK, there are certainly no shortages of places to go. However, so many hills pose their own problems. Namely, it is difficult to keep track of all the ones that you have bagged. Currently, there are no apps on the market that try to address this problem. So what we wanted to develop was an application that would allow users to keep track of the hills that they've climbed, unlock achievements based on their progress, and to also search for hills or mountains based on things like their name or their height. Next slide, please. To improve the user experience, we use technologies such as React Native, maps, which added a visual element to the completed hills, and Open Weather API, which allows the user to check the weather ahead of time. Over the last 2 weeks, we have developed all aspects of our application, starting with project management, which included things such as wireframing, Trello boards, and morning stand-ups, through to building our back-end server with Express and the front end with React Native. I'll now hand you over to my friend Moogie, who will show you the app in action.
Thank you, Jack. Here it is. Next project, please. And welcome to our app, Climbly. This is our landing page, and users can see the list of mountains without having to create an account. But there is some extra features available when you log in. Here it is the individual mountain, the page for the users that isn't logged in. So if we go back from the front end, we can sort and search the result. And the search mountains in each individual country is the UK, or even search the range of the heights. Yep, now if you go to login page, and if you're on the user, you can create an account, and we have to enter email, password, name, and avatar URL. And once you sign up, you have a unique user section. We will come back here later. If you go back to the home page and click a mountain, we can now see that we have a button to add this to the complete list. So when I press this, it will be added to my complete list. As you can see on this page, there is a map where the mountain peak is located, a brief description of a mountain, and some data including heights, meters, and feet, and the current weather. We will quickly complete 5 mountains. And if we go back to the user section, and you can now see the complete mountain show up on the map with some data and then total feet climbed and number of hills. If we swipe left, this is where the complete mountain lives. They turn green on a completion, and if we swipe left again, we have collected some budgets for the completing of 5 mountains. This concludes the demo of the app, and thank you very much. And I will pass it to my friend James.
Thanks, Mergy. So here's a little brief look into our tech stack. Next slide, please. So this is what we used. Some technologies are new and some technologies we've used in the past. So this created a personal challenge for us using new technologies, and we feel quite proud of what we've achieved. So we use React Native on the front end and Firestore for our backend with some small technologies to wrap all these together. So the app's front end is built using React Native. Went with React Native because we wanted to build an app that was available for both Android and iOS. After some initial research, we all came to the conclusion that React Native is the best solution due to its bridging ability between Xcode and Android Studio. After we settled on our front-end framework, we then started to look into how we would host our backend. After some more research, we concluded that we'd use a NoSQL database for the reason that we could easily tie our local user database with our authentication database. Once we'd spiked Firebase and felt comfortable, we proceeded to find the data that would be seeded into our database. We tried our best to find a suitable API, but there just wasn't anything that was available for the data points that we needed. Our team quickly decided that we only needed a few extra data points and that it would be easily accessible from the internet. So we used a library called Puppeteer to web scrape the rest of our data, which was a success and actually really fun. Once the database was seeded with data, we set out to build our server using Express. We use Express because of its simplicity and because it's a widely used backend framework, which means lots of documentation. Having used it previously in other projects, we took off building the endpoints right away and had it hosting and pulling data in just a few days. We used full TDD with Jest on the backend, which is widely used and comprehensive testing suite. It gave us the confidence that our server would perform how we intended it to. Next, we just had to build the front end the way we had envisioned it with lots and lots of features. One section was the weather, which we used OpenAPI because we wanted to display the current weather for each individual mountain. This was a very well-documented API that helped us implement it with ease. The next big implementation was React Native Maps. It didn't come so easy. We had to extensively read documentation and posts on Stack Overflow, which can be quite daunting at the best of times. But in the end, like most of our problems, we found a solution. In the end, Climely was a great challenge, and we all pushed the boundaries of what we thought we could achieve. I'm confident that the effort then reflects well in our final product. Thank you for your time, and over to my friend Simon.
Thank you, James. And hello, everyone. Working on Climely was a series of challenges. It was our first app completely designed and coded from scratch, so we had to learn a lot about planning, making feasible time estimates, and prioritizing features to implement them in the most efficient order. And next slide, please. A big challenges we would like to mention briefly here were a task of collecting data. Our app is very information oriented, so we needed data in a specific form. And after spiking, as James mentioned before, we've decided to use Puppeteer, which is a JavaScript library for web scraping. And we've spent some time on writing a reusable and adaptable script that allowed us to scrape the data from thousands of pages in a very automated and time-efficient way. Somewhere in the middle of our way, we were about to implement a searching feature for our app. And that particular case turned to be a very valuable lesson for us. Because initially we went for a recommended solution for that for the Firestore database, which is Algolia, which is a very powerful searching technology. But after spending a whole day trying to persuade this technology to do what we expected it to do exactly, we decided that it is simply too complex, too big for our needs, and we used it rather as an inspiration for writing our own code, and which was kind of a combination of front end and back end that was exactly tailored to suit needs of our application. Next slide, please. I'm gonna talk briefly about the future of Climely. One thing that we definitely would like to implement is the ability for the users to build a society around Climely. So features of writing comments, mountain reviews, and stories from mountain trails will be inevitably the first step in further development of our application. So far on our short adventure with that application, we had a lot of fun with collecting data. So why not reuse our great scraping scripts and fetch information about mountains in other countries, just to inspire people to plan more international climbing escapades and connect hiking enthusiasts from around the world in one place. Another thing that was really tempting to try, but we haven't managed to try it yet, was implementing features based on geolocation technology. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, it is the best moment for that.